Amazing Sean Brown, who has put together a really brilliant session for you today. He's going to take you through step by step how to build a campaign. And then so by the end of the session, you will have a campaign for your business, which if you want to, you could set it off and launch it tomorrow and start measuring the impact of that immediately. So I'm really looking forward to what Sean's about to do with you today. A few dates, I'll send them out by email after this session. The next tech class is on startup law on the 30th of April. So if you've wondered about any kind of sort of legal issues or things that you might have needed to cross T's, dot I's, or if you're thinking on taking on an investor and you need to redo your shareholder agreements, things like that, Squire Patent Boggs are actually going to come in and take you through that and provide you with some templates. There are 2 GDPR events coming up here at UK Fast. There's GDPR Unlocked, which is a conference. Tickets are around about £100. I have a little code which allows you folks to have that for free, so I'll send that out. And then on the 14th of May, we'll be doing another tech class like this. Sakarma and our GDPR in-house manager, Steve Crow, are going to actually teach you and take you through how to do a GDPR audit on your own businesses. So again, you'll be able to take that away and implement that before the deadline kicks in later on that month. Many of you here are already on the mentoring program. We do have the next matchup event for those that aren't, which is coming up on the 28th and 29th of June. I'll pop that all into the email. Okay, so you've got your laptops. Thank you for those people that were able to bring them along. We won't need those just yet. It was to make sure that you had them on the Wi-Fi. So on the back of your pass is the Wi-Fi details. And then if you want to save your battery, you can shut them down till later on. Sean? Can they shut them down? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Up here we have our own social. So Tech Class, hashtag, Tech Manchester. This is my Twitter, and this is Mr. Brown's Twitter. Please feel free to follow and tweet and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Was there anything else I needed to remember? Nope. So with no further ado, I'll hand over to Sean Brown.
Cool. Thank you. Don't clap, don't clap, don't clap. Haven't done anything yet, don't clap. So I'm going to start off with, I think it's a pretty cool story with a few different principles behind it that really talk about the current state of marketing in general, and then creativity as well. So we'll go over to stateside in Florida, and there was a young woman. She's around 21 years old, but she had these big dreams to become a massive real estate broker. So and in Florida, the real estate game is pretty much cornered by the average old white guy, and it's no one else can come into the industry out there. It's pretty locked off. So how can someone that's young with no experience really go and make an impact in real estate over in Florida? She tried to market a little bit better, so she did a bit of VR stuff around the houses, and she did drone shots, all these kind of innovative different marketing techniques. But all she was doing was slightly better than the rest of them. And it wasn't until around this time there was a massive bin strike. So it's like Manchester City Council saying, like, we're not collecting your bins anymore. So this happened in this region that she was in. And it was around about 3 months that the bins, so the rubbish just started growing and growing and growing. So whenever she was taking some around the houses, there's bins everywhere. No one wants to move to a place where there's lots of rubbish. So she took it upon herself to call up a private bin disposal company and said, hey, can you clear up the streets, please? They said, yes, that's $10,000 or however much it cost, but it was all of her savings. So she ploughed all of her savings into clearing up the bit. What's a real estate broker got to do with clearing up the streets? So she cleared all the streets up, and but didn't take the claim, didn't tell anyone. So then the local paper got involved, and then they called the bin company and says, who was it? And they says, oh, it was this lady. And they called the lady and says, why did you do it? And she says, well, it's just the community was awful. We needed the bins cleared. And they says, well, that's strange. Okay, fine. So they ran the story in the paper, and when it was featured, she started getting lots of calls from different citizens. And the calls were saying, hey, can I pay you back? Let me put in my share for what you paid off. And actually, she worked out the numbers, and she would have made a return on investment. You know, if there's around about 200,000 people saying they want to pay $20 each, she's going to make a good bit of cash. But she said no. I said, well, what do you want from us? Like, why have you done this? And she says, well, when you look to sell your house, remember me and tell your family and friends that if they want to sell their house, give them my card. And then the next week, she ran an ad in the same paper that ran the story, saying, hey, I'm the person that did this, but hey, if you want real estate, I'm here. So the kind of following year, she turned into the highest grossing real estate agent on the east coast of Florida. And that's because of two things, really. One is, if you want to do marketing better than someone else, you'll have incremental gains. There's no doubt about it. You'll have a better return. But if you market differently, then you'll have astronomical gains. It will change the way that we receive our return on investment. So that's one story that we can do. So it's always think different. Don't look at your competitor and think, how can I be better than them? Look at your competitor and look at the landscape and say, how can I be different? And then the next moral of that story is add value. So we live a very, very fast lives, and especially this is about social media, and I don't think you can consume any more information than you do on your newsfeed day to day. So the amount of media we're consuming, that our podcasts, the radio, our YouTube, the TV, all this information, we don't give a shit about any adverts anymore. Adverts don't connect with us. Advertising does not. We avoid adverts. We're not interested anymore. So as a company now, as entrepreneurs, you've starting this product, you've built this product from nothing, you've got to front load all of your value. I'm not saying give your product away for free, keep the value in that, but in your marketing, in your communications, give value up front. Don't take before you give. That's probably a life lesson as well, I guess, but in marketing, give the value, because when it comes round to using a product that you offer, if you've given value related to that first, they're going to come to you. It's really simple that way that works. But then after that story kind of, for me, it gives me feeling that, okay, that's really nice. It makes me feel kind of appreciated if I was a tenant in this area. So you've got to make them feel. In your communications, in your videos, in your imagery, make someone feel. It can be good, it can be bad, but the idea is to provoke an emotion. If you're scrolling through your newsfeed, you might land on a video that captures your attention, but if it doesn't make you feel instantly, you're not going to carry on watching. So give value and make them feel as well. So that's the kind of the opening story. But who am I? I am Sean, and my kind of I don't personally like the word of entrepreneur because I don't know, it gets thrown around so often. But my experience of starting kind of startups is, well, it started with probably Social Scuba, which is when I saw Facebook uprising in 2008. I taught myself to write PHP, and I created a social media platform similar to Facebook, but specifically for scuba diving. And my idea, I was a diver at the time, and my idea was, okay, Facebook's never going to last. It's too wide, it's too broad. And then, so I thought, pardon? Yeah, found it out now. So, but what I was going to say, social scuba, social BMX, and like start cutting off all these niches and have this big scuba social net, which is all these individual social networks that exist. They're called groups on Facebook now. It's amazing. Anyway, it was my first exit. I was 19 years old, and I sold up to Paddy, who are professional associations of dive instructor. And it's now called Scuba Earth. And actually, I was showing Trish today, and they're actually still using exactly the same code that I wrote. And it was so patchy. It was terrible. So anyway, then I had a few that I haven't listed, like a payment platform, which all the money I made from the sale of that, I put into a contactless payment platform for students. Then Visa and MasterCard launched contactless in 2011. So that killed me and lost all the investment. So then anyway, I went and worked for The Man as head of digital at a luxury media house down in London. And then I ended up at Social Chain because I built Hatch, which was an influencer marketing platform. It was a micro-influencer marketing platform that basically could get, everyone would subscribe to write a tweet for a brand and they'll get paid for it. It's quite simple. My first client was Apple Music with that, and then when that happened, Social Chain had interest, says, hey, move up to London, we'll take the technology, you can have an exit out of that, and you can run our influencer division. So I ran the influencer division for a while, made that profitable from where it was it was quite loss-making. But then I moved across to products because I had a passion about building things. So I don't like managing departments. It wasn't me. I still wanted to do this, be a founder, create something. I didn't want to work for someone. So it was around this time that I started looking at other things like Mercato, which is my latest kind of startup, which has just been invested to by the owner of UK Fast, Lawrence Jones, which it's an e-commerce platform that allows anyone to start a business within 1 minute. It's all drop shipping which is you just pick products and add it to your store, launch your store, you're good to go. All you have to do is market it. So, and the main reason why I built this is because I love the idea of creating something from nothing. So how can I have like a mass network effect of that happening? And I thought, well, I want to do that through building a platform for entrepreneurs. Not you. You guys are a lot more resourceful than our target market. This is the wantrepreneurs, I guess, like the people that want to do it but don't have the time, the money, the interest, really. So it's not really for you guys. But anyway, so that's a background on me. When I was at Social Chain, I learned a lot about social media, so I thought that's how I'll share strategizing and building campaigns with you today. Anyway, I love creativity. I don't like really sitting around boardrooms and being bored. So I've got on my wrist an elastic band. Right? Has anyone read the book Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull? The guy who founded Pixar. It's about how Pixar turned into this massive kind of corporate entity very quickly, and they forgot the true roots of creativity. So Ed Catmull, the founder and the creative director there, when they went into their board meetings to have creative, like to come up with Toy Story or whatever, they would play this game, which is they'll get one random object and they'll go around 5 times, but we can't because it's quite a big room. But they'll go around and think of a different way to use this object. It could be any object, but we're playing a game which is elastic band. So the way I would use an elastic band is as a bracelet. Okay? Let's all go. We'll go around this table, throw it over to that table, go around. And the idea of this is to get everyone kind of just thinking, like being creative. So it can be boring, it could be exciting. Just find a different way to use the elastic band. Is that? Yeah, that's a microphone, by the way. It's not just a conch. It's a microphone speaking to the X.
Okay, I'd use it as a bubble.
A bubble.
A hair bubble.
Fantastic.
I used to use an elastic band when I was pregnant to keep my trousers fastened.
Nice. MacGyver.
I could use it as shoelace, replacement shoelace.
I could use it as a slingshot.
Perfect.
Hit something.
Vindictive, but perfect.
I use elastic band to keep a pack of cards all held together.
Nice.
I use a elastic band to put a key on it and then wrap it around something else, and then you've got your stretchy bit of it
I like that.
to reach what you need to reach.
I use it to keep coffee coasters together.
Oh, nice. Is that your business?
No.
Oh,
just
carry
make them
coasters
for
around.
fun.
Could use it to keep my hairpins together.
Nice. Is that the same as a bubble? So this is the thing. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. So I'm not really. I cut my own hands. Okay. Fair. Sorry.
I'd set a new trend and wear it as a ring.
Nice.
Use it to lock up cupboard doors from little prying hands from children.
Very good.
I would use it to fix a tap. I know it's boring, but I used it to fix the tap once, and it came in really good handy. So yeah.
Nice.
If my phone was broken, I'd use it to hold that together.
I would use it to fidget.
To what? Fidget.
Fidget.
Nice, yeah.
I would use it to entertain a 7-year-old who was bored on his school holidays.
Sounds like that's from experience.
I'd use it as a weapon.
As a weapon? Oof, Jesus Christ. Yeah, fair enough.
I'd use it to keep my fridge closed from my cat.
Nice. And is that the same as the prying hand cupboard one? What's everyone's thoughts here? Letting that through?
I'd use it to hold my jeans strapped when I cycle.
Good.
I'd use it to keep components together on a product.
I'd use it to wake up my flatmates when they're staying too long in bed.
I'd use it as a bookmark.
A bookmark, nice.
I'd use it in the kitchen to keep utensils organised.
Nice.
I'd use it to keep my glasses on my face.
I would use it to keep my pencils together.
I use it in my zip in my backpack.
The what, sorry?
In the zip, in the backpack.
Yeah.
Sort of like a keyring.
I use it to keep my business cards together.
Nice, hustler.
I'd use it as a musical instrument. I'd use it as a makeshift tripod kind of thing, the camera.
How? How would that work?
Stand and tie it together.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'd use it as a makeshift necklace.
Perfect.
So put a few together, make a necklace.
Perfect. And we're going to go around about 5 more times. So there's that's an example there that we've got one thing, which is an elastic band, that can be used across different ways. So I want you to think about the way that you took that approach to thinking of something new. Someone in front of you might have got the one that you were going to say, so you had to think of something else quickly. And when it comes to creativity, there's no rules apart from you can't copy someone else directly. So the point is that when it comes to creativity, just be as resourceful as you can. Okay, so on your table underneath your notebooks, there's a brief. This is it's a very skeletal brief. It's quite empty, but I want you to take it away because it basically starting with a brief and coming from an agency, we'd have clients that had lots of money to spend. They would come to us and say, "Here's a brief. This is what we want. You go create it." Now, as entrepreneurs, we don't have unless we've had a massive seed or Series A, we don't have the luxury to be pulling in big marketing agencies that are asking for 50, 60 grand just for a launch campaign. So why don't we play the role as the entrepreneur and the client and the agency as well? We're going to have to do that, I guess. So write yourself a brief. We don't have to do it now, but I'll go through it. So we'll do it later. But write yourself a brief. So it's something that you can always go back to when you're creating your campaign. So first of all, the campaign could be launch campaign. It's just, or if you're already launched, it could be acquisition. I don't know, just name your campaign and after something. And then there's the date that you want to go live. And this is really important as well. And if I had more space, I'd probably have like stage 1 due by, phase 2 due by, that kind of, so set your guidelines, because one of the things that I struggle with as an entrepreneur is sticking to what I say I'm going to do. And I think we all probably do that, especially on time, because it's up to us how fast our businesses move. So if you're doing this with your marketing campaign, you're the client, and you get really angry at the agency, but you're also the agency, so don't piss yourself off. Okay, so budget. This is important. So budget, okay, we're not going to go and pay someone 10 grand for something, but you might have budget for production, for a photo shoot, or you might have budget for paid spend. So kind of set how much budget have you got. If you've got 0, like me, you've got 0. So it's fine. But you know what you're working to, so you know how wild your ideas could be, right? Now, the most important thing, the key objectives. So you probably have one key objective, which is to acquire users or to generate leads, or it could be brand awareness. I want 10,000 people within this demographic to like my product. So you can start writing your objectives down there and understanding what an objective is. Is anyone 100% clear on what the difference is between an objective and what isn't? Are we happy with that? I kind of guess so. And then audience as well. So the beautiful thing about social, it's probably the most targeted advertising we could do to anyone. There's communities that exist that want our product. We just got to communicate to them. So building an audience now in the briefing stage really defines the type of content, the type of creative, the type of strategy that you were going to create for the rest of your campaign. So you can start right now if you want, but let's say for Mercato, I'll use Mercato throughout the rest of this because it gives you an idea of how I look at my startup. So our age demographics is probably from around about 18 to 65, everyone. Probably around about 24 to around about 35 is where we're going to get a key kind of like uplift in users. So I'll put that down. Location, well, we can only ship to the UK with our inventory at the moment, so UK. And then interests and behaviors. So interests, I'll go after all of my my competitors like Spotify, Shopify, WooCommerce, Squarespace, these type of competitors. But I'll also go into those that are they're hustlers or they're entrepreneurs or they follow Gary Vaynerchuk. So I'd really go into like what the type of thing, if I could draw a picture of the profile of the person that I'm trying to target, what they're interested in, what car do they drive. You can even do that. If you're someone that's selling cars, you can like actually say what car do they drive. If you're selling a German car, you can say, right, I want to target BMW, Mercedes, and Audi users. So it knows that. And the way they know that is they know what's in your pictures. So say I've had 20 pictures with a Ford badge. Then Facebook kind of think, yeah, he likes Ford or he's got a Ford. So we can target me based on that type of data that we give to Facebook. Okay, so then after interests, you've then got behaviors. Behaviors is a weird one when you start thinking about Cambridge Analytica level of data, but Facebook's really good at understanding your behaviors. So likelihood to buy, average order spend online. So like their affluence, so how much money you make, what type of products do you tend to buy. For other behaviors like how often do you go running? Have you ever connected your Map My Run with your Facebook? Probably. So now they know how often you run, so now you can target them with a nice pair of trainers. So behaviors, how often do they do things? What's their general behaviors? So if you're thinking again about your audience, what do they look like? How do they behave as well? And there's another layer as well, which I didn't want to scare everyone, but there's personal as well. So like the exact amount of money that you make, your siblings, and it's that level of stuff. So let's say, for example, it's Mother's Day coming up, and I've set up a Mother's Day card shop. So this is cutting off my circulation. Mother's Day cards, you have a Mother's Day card shop, and you want to sell Mother's Day cards to mothers or to kids that have mothers. You can target people that have moms on Facebook, and then you've got a really accurate kind of audience that you're going to tackle. So personal as well, but just try and fill in this bit. And then themes, okay, so this is where we're starting to get a little bit more creative. Let's say with Mercato, our themes were it's fun, it's quick, it's easy, and no, that's it. That's hopefully what it is. So that's how you kind of build out your brief. Does that make sense? It's quite a boring start, but you need it. Okay, now going to strategy. This is quite a big chunk, but it's really important to understand. A lot of the information this might be a bit of an information overload, so hopefully I can break it down. And if anyone wants me to stop at any time, just fire your questions away. It's a collaborative environment. Okay, so understanding the funnel. Everyone's seen the sales funnel, the marketing funnel before, right? I guess. Has anyone not seen a funnel? Okay, so imagine we're BT and we picking up the phone, we're calling you with Vodafone, a cold call, you say, might be interested. And then you might get an email or a letter 2 weeks later saying, hey, I know you might be interested, have a look at this, this starter pack. So that's second stage in the funnel. And then you might call, or you might see a TV advert that has a call to action. Then you're engaged, now you're purchasing. So that's the funnel. So you've gone from brand awareness to kind of consideration to converting as a purchaser. So that's the funnel. That's a sales funnel, but kind of a marketing funnel as well. But it can be used specifically for Facebook as well. So just on when a user, whether it be B2C or B2B, first interacts with your business, if they interact with you 1 to 2 times, they've got a 3% chance of converting. That's nothing. So what's the point? Why are we trying to convert people that are in this top end of the funnel? The people that interact with your brand from 3 to 6 times, they've got an 8% chance of converting. And then for the people that interact with your brand from 6 to 8 times and above, they've got, a 89% chance of converting. Go for it. Okay, so the amount of times your brand has communicated with them. And we'll dive into that further on. So up here is brand awareness. This is the big bang, the big TV advert kind of thing, where we get lots of eyeballs within your target audience watching your content about your brand. It's introducing the brand on a large scale. And then we've got the next set, the people that you have started considering your brand, thinking, okay, as an individual or as a business, if it's B2B, I identify with your brand. I'm going to start considering the products or services that you offer. I've seen your video, it's pretty cool, now I want to know more. But you might get people that see your video and think, not really interested. But then now they want to know more. This is the consideration phase. And you squeeze them further down by, let's say their journey is they go out to your website, after clicking from a picture or video, they go to your website and then they drop off. But you can retarget them from your website and say, hey, come back, you left this in your shopping cart, come and purchase this. So that's an interaction. The first interaction is a video, watching the video. Second interaction is seeing the advert that's supplied to me based on the video I watched. Then another interaction, which I haven't drawn, is like a website. So they go to your website, they read a blog, they do something more. And then the fourth interaction is here. Social's a lot quicker. I know I've said 6 to 8, but you can normally convert around about after 4 interactions on social if you've got maybe a low order value or a kind of easy entry product. Adweek. I'll share all the sources if you want after a bit. Adweek, they've done a pretty good report on interaction. Okay, so Facebook also do this. So has anyone seen this before? This is the business manager or the ads manager in Facebook. I'm guessing majority of us have. Later on, I'll go deeper into this as well, but you can see the funnels on the side here, awareness, consideration, conversion. I'll get out of the way, sorry. Facebook do it, so they're the people that create social media, so we should probably follow what they suggest, right? So they do it. Okay, so we understand the funnel and when customers convert. I guess everyone understands that point? Okay, so now we've got the extended funnel. I'm going to draw on this. Okay, so once they've converted, they've got to the bottom, the purchase. Wrong one. Okay, so normally they purchase and we let them go. If we had a bricks and mortar store and we were selling something in a shop, someone buys a bag, they leave. That's it. That's the end of the funnel. We now hope we can get them back in because they see our next TV advert. But beauty on social is we can build them into a community and we can create the reverse funnel, which is like this. So the idea is to be happy with a product, endorse, so they endorse your product, and advocacy. I can't spell, is that correct? Yeah. So that is the upside down funnel, or kind of the extended funnel. So you want your customer to be happy. They're more likely to come back if they're happy, right? If they're unhappy, then they're they've lost from the funnel, you've got to catch them back in 6 months or whenever your customer churn is. Then you want them to endorse, which is leave a review on your product or to follow you on Instagram or something like that, just to endorse, to fully identify with you as a brand and as a product. Then this is the holy grail. This is where word of mouth marketing happens. This is the advocacy, the evangelist for your product, the person that is the beta user, the early user, the one that will scream from the top of the rooftops about your product, the one that will wear it proud. Advocacy is what we try to achieve with every single one of our customers. And if you're not doing it to get every single one of your customers to be advocates for your brand, why are you doing it? So we've got to really, make sure that our service and our marketing tries to endorse this. Endorse, wrong word, but tries to aim for advocacy. Does that make sense, the upside down funnel? Okay, so, and then what pieces of content fit where? So I worked with Superdry on their global rollout campaign for their social and with their influencers. So we worked with Nightscape, which is a guy that climbs on top of buildings, and that got banned actually because we're promoting people climbing on buildings. It was really dangerous. We had Ryan Taylor, who is a BMXer, he rides bikes on top of buildings, but it didn't get banned because it was on the ground. And then we had Andrew Henderson, which is a world football freestyle champion. And then we had, I forgot her name. She's a UK grime artist, Paigey Keiki. Paigey Keiki? Any grime artists in here? Okay, so Paigey Keiki, she did like a kind of spoken word kind of advert. So that was seen by around about 140,000 people across all media on social. And what we did from that was in this format, this is a Deezer advert, but it's a nice GIF, so I thought I'd use it. From that, we would supply them with a carousel ad, which where it moves, these are the different products that Ryan was wearing. So, and then in the copy we would say, shop the look of the video, and what we did, we retargeted everyone that watched that video for more than 3 seconds. We retargeted them with this advert saying, hey, shop the look. We know you watched the video, so you're gonna have to shop the look. And then, so that gets our cost per conversion right down, and it's a really, really effective return on ad spend. So that's consideration, okay? So this isn't conversion. This is only halfway down the funnel. So once they click on this, which is shop, not download, they go over to the Superdry website, and then they're already on the product pages of what Ryan was wearing. Now, they might add that to cart, or they might go into another section of the website and add something else to cart. But what we've done, we've installed the Facebook Pixel for retargeting, and we're retargeting that user later on. If they leave and don't convert, we'll retarget them with the same type of advert, but with finish off your shopping in the text, and it will be their shopping cart. So has anyone been on ASOS.com and then been retargeted your shopping cart? I set that up for ASOS.com, so it works, and they've had a really good return on investment with it. So it really works. So that's the kind of the purchase point where they've seen the advert, they've now seen the content, they've gone to the website, and then they're back to the product, what they've already added to the cart, and then they've converted. And then they get an email saying, thank you for it, would you like to buy this? This goes really well with that outfit, and then you upsell, and that's how e-commerce works. But Trish made a good point. It's like, okay, well, what if I've got a B2B company? I'll use your company with the 3D printing for an example. So you supply schools with 3D printers, right? So say I'm going to want to, I'll set up a target audience of women and men aged between 29 and maybe 45, and say, right, I want teachers that are based in Manchester, because maybe you can only supply Manchester right now, or you're only aiming to supply Manchester right now. And then you'll send them with a video, which is like, has anyone seen a Business Insider video, which is just like, it's almost like a documentary type of video saying, this printer is a 3D printer. Swipes off to another scene, which says, kids use it in school to replace wood tech. It's now the new age of wood. So then you've got this kind of like, oh, this is really cool. Like the kids in my school would really like to see that. So they watched the video. Then you retarget them with an advert like this, which is book a consultation with my man Alex, and then you book your consultation. Maybe it opens up a chat bot, which it says, hey, I'm Alex. It's not Alex, it's a chat bot. And then it say, hey, book in for this time. I'll come down with 3D printer and give you an example. I don't know if that's how your marketing works, but it's just, it could be a way of how to kind of generate some leads. Then you meet them in person. And this is the third interaction that we've just had with them. Then after you meet them in person, you then send them a little tiny piece of 3D printed kind of, I don't know, brooch for them or something. And then that's another interaction. And then you have a pitch, and that's the fifth interaction. And then that's where you can potentially convert, because you've built this, you've had this customer journey, you've built this relationship with your customer. So it isn't just commerce. It's any product. It's 3D printing. I've never done the marketing for a 3D printing company, but that's the way that a strategy or a funnel strategy would work for that. Are there any questions yet? No? Okay, great. So then, on strategy, I told you strategy was a long one. I'm really sorry. We've got Petals, and then I'll cover personal brand at the end. So Petals is really important because it's establishing kind of your brand or what message you're trying to communicate. So for example, Petals has anyone heard of content pillars before? Okay, so Petals is kind of, it's a nice pretty flower. Okay, so let's say this is Mercato, whatever. So this is Mercato, and these petals represent kind of the values of what Mercato is. What do I really want to talk about? Or the content strands, the things we're going to talk about in our content. So we're always going to talk about entrepreneurship. Okay, so then we're also going to talk about products as well. So at the moment, we supply beauty and fitness products. So we'll talk about products. Does this give you an idea of what's your brand? Sorry to pick on you. Pardon? Pollution mask that you physically wear. Oh, sick. That's really cool. It's got a B on it as well. Perfect. So for example, if this is pollution mask, then you might talk about, what would you talk about? Okay, so fitness, maybe? Okay. And then like the environment, I guess? So yes, so you've got plastic, you've got so many strands that you could go down in the environment. So, oh shit. So you can talk about two things now with this, but with petals, you build up as many as you can, and you can have, it could be an extended flower, and you can have external petals that could, build up kind of like the extendable content. Does that make sense? So we'll go through this exercise at the end. So when you're building out your strategy for your product or startup, build out a flower, and your product is the middle, and then what your product stands for, and what type of content ideas you come up with come around. So it's considered strategy, not creative, because this is setting the rules for your creative. If you're like me, you tend to get carried away with a few things and go off on tangents. So these are kind of like your rules. They were called pillars, but pillars you normally only have 4. But so for petals, it's more. It's great. Okay, so and then personal brand. Is anyone else? Well, not anyone else. I'm not. Is anyone quite influential on social media? Do you take part in talks? Substantially better than mine. But does anyone active about talking about themselves and their affinity to their brand? No? Start doing it. You do. Okay. How? So, what's your brand and where do you come from? Yeah, nice. it's so important to be doing this type of stuff. And for example, I'll stick with Alex and your team there. Like, you guys, the only evangelists of your brands that exist right now, I'm assuming we're all right at the start, is you. You know, not your mom, not your dad, not your family, your friends. It's you. So if the person that, and also people don't, like your customers, don't react to a brand in the same way as they react to people. As an individual, you're going to be better off identifying with another individual representing a brand. That's why Richard Branson does so well, why Steve Jobs does so well, Elon Musk, he does so well. It's these are massive scale, but like my old boss at Social Chain, Steve Bartlett, I don't know if anyone watches Steve's stuff, does so well. And actually the first time I met Lawrence, the owner of UK Fast, who ended up investing into my startup, was because I created the personal branding for Steve Bartlett, for Social Chain, and I was pitching Lawrence how he should do his own personal brand on social media, so that's how we met. But the point is, you cannot have a business that exists faceless. It has to have someone that's representing that brand front and center. And there's a lot of brands that have taken advantage of this kind of style of creating content, which is working with influencers. So fashion brands do it the best, but they'll, send a spam email to 20 influencers and say, hey, can we send you some product? You wear it. And what that does, the followers of that influencer see what they're wearing and say, oh, I really like what she's wearing. I want to look like her. I'm going to wear it. But that's the same for you and your brand. If they really like you, they're going to buy printers from you. You know, if they're really into, if you're giving videos about psychology and your product or service is related to that, of course, they value what you're saying, they're going to value your product. So it's the same for everyone in here. No matter how obscure or kind of corporate or whatever your product is, you still have to be the lead voice in your product. So start owning it. And I think, Nadia, if you don't mind, we had a conversation the other day, which is, Nadia has a fashion brand called Demio, and we're talking about, you've got a photo shoot coming up with models, and she's talking about the camera expense, the studio, the model, and all these things. I says, well, model it yourself. Like, it's your clothes. Like, it's your designs. Like, represent yourself. Like, and your response was, well, I don't want my friends to see what I'm. But is that right? I'm sorry, but I think that the story might resonate with everyone is because I don't say to my friends, hey, will you sign up and create a store in Mercato? One, because they won't, and they'll laugh at me and say, oh, banter. But the point is, it's if you don't own that, if you don't own your product, I don't give a fuck what my friends say. I don't care. This is what I do. And as an individual, we've got to, especially when we're bootstrapping, you've got to step up and feature in your own work. Like you probably may have had reservations about featuring as like the chief speaker for your organization, but it's you, it's your product, it's your idea. So please, I don't want to bang on too much about it, but personal brand is really important, and I'm happy to chat with anyone about it who wants to kind of develop that. Okay, my favorite bit. Okay, creative is. Has anyone got any questions on strategy, though, to start with? No? Is it because you're disengaged, or covered it all? Oh, jeez. Okay, so we'll talk about creative now. It's the funnest part. So when it comes to social, we've got a checklist that's always there, loud and proud. Put it at the top of your paper every time you go to come up with some ideas. So give value, make them feel, and is it social? I'm going to hang around on social for a little minute, because that's kind of the point, but is it social? What I mean by that is on Facebook, we've all heard about the algorithm, and does anyone know what the algorithm on Facebook is? Well, no, they don't. So Facebook, it was very clear actually. I've done actually this talk at Facebook before, and I said to them, look, hey, one, can you get me verified? They said no. And then I said, can you tell me more about the algorithm? And the 2 times I went, one time they says, yeah, here's a list. And they gave me a list, which I would have put in this slide, but it's redundant now because it was the latest product is the algorithm. So Live, I was on the team that created the most engaged live stream in the world. We had 2.5 million comments in an hour, and every single comment was Yeezy, because you comment Yeezy, the balloon inflates, and when you comment Yeezy, when the balloon pops, you win that pair of Yeezys. It was so simple. But we used it by exploiting Live, because Live just came out, we used it, we shared it for all of our networks, and then we were at the top of everyone's newsfeed, so we had all these people watching. So they've actually changed it now. For some reason I took the slide out, but it's about affinity. So has anyone ever set up a Facebook ad before? And yeah, has anyone seen the relevancy score? It's always really low. We don't know why. So the relevancy score is how relevant your content is to the audience that you're giving it to. And even when you say, hey, this is a picture of me and my mom, or whatever, like, that has a relevancy score. Every piece of content you create and publish on social media, well, on Facebook and Instagram, has a relevancy score. How relevant is that piece of content? And they look at all sorts of different variables that dictate whether that's relevant, whether it be the lighting, and has Janet engaged with something that's lit very light before, like, all the way that deep to does Janet like cars? Is there a car in this shot? And that's how they find this relevancy and create this relevancy score. So that's the first thing. It's called affinity. They call it affinity. Does it have the appropriate affinity to the person that's going to consume that content? So when you're creating content and thinking about creative, always think, is this relevant for that audience that I wrote in my brief? Keep it as relevant as possible. Then there's the next one, which is engagement. They call it another word, but I'm going to say engagement. So how many likes has the post got? How many comments has it got? How many replies? Has it got negative sentiment or positive sentiment against it? And then that's how it promotes as well within it. So, and that's really how the algorithm works now. And then time as well. How long ago did they post it? That's the only thing. So this algorithm, it's very simple. Just make good content. Make good content for your audience. It's dead simple. So we don't have to think about trying to exploit it anymore. We just think about making quality stuff. That's why there's longer form content now. I don't know if anyone gets lost in a Facebook scrolling session, but it's just longer videos each time, right? It's because it's giving you more high quality produced content. Okay, so apply the funnel to your creative, and I'll go through this now. Okay, so the funnel that I said earlier was brand awareness, consideration, and purchase, right? So this one is hero, hub, and hygiene. And hero content is the type of content that is designed to give brand awareness. Hub content is designed to give considerable content, thoughts of a user. And then you've got hygiene, which is the person that is a super fan, the person that's kind of at the level of purchase. They just want to feel connected to it, to the brand. So as an example, sorry, can I play a video? Please, yes. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Sorry, I know you. Okay, so as an example, this is the, where have we gone? Okay, as an example, this is the hero video that we launched Mercato with. So if you want to. I'll probably induce a few epileptic fits at the end there, I'm sorry. But that was designed to go out to the general audience that we created it for. We have got other hero series like My Mercato, which is stories of parents that have struggled to make kind of money on the side, and they use Mercato to create money on the side. So that's like emotive kind of things, but that's just for like parent kind of audience. But that was designed to get as many eyeballs as you can. So is it social first? Thinking is it social first? It's square. It exists in the newsfeed. If you're filming a video, you go on Facebook or Instagram, don't put it in landscape. The point is, as you're scrolling down your newsfeed and you see a piece of content that's in landscape form, it takes up about an inch of real estate on the screen. When it's a square, it takes up like 2.7 inches on, I don't know, like an iPhone or something like that. So if it's square, it takes up more real estate, which commands more attention from your audience. So is it social first? Well, the format of is yes, because also at the start of that video, it was like the words were like kind of flashing on the screen. And when you like drip feed someone a sentence like this is the start of, people want to know what the rest of your saying is, right? It's that they want closure. So if you kind of introduce like lettering like that or wording like that, then that is social. Because does anyone know the most commonly used gesture on social media? Anyone? Pardon? The what? The most commonly used gesture? The scroll. Who said that? Yeah, okay. Smart ass. It's normally people normally say the like, you like or commenting. But the scroll. People scroll all the time. That's all you do on social media. Endlessly, mindlessly scroll. And so you've got 3 seconds to capture someone's attention, and that's pushing it. 3 seconds, they've moved on. That's it. It's gone. So you've got to capture their attention straight away. That's why, you can see it's relatively light budget. I did it myself, but that's why it took ages to do, because I was just trying to get this format correct, that, the start building a business. Do I introduce that with building a business? No, because if someone flashes across and they just see building, it doesn't make sense. It's not relevant. So building a business. Anyway, so that's the kind of thought that needs to go into a hero video. You guys might be a little bit more fortunate. You might have something that you can actually tangibly film, so your content could potentially go further. But I had to use animation, unfortunately. So then, once our users or viewers saw that video, and I retargeted them with these type of adverts, depending on whether they were female, whether they were male, whether they are more kind of weighted towards like the idea of a side hustle, or whether they, I don't know, like a little bit more lighter in their kind of content that they engage with. So I had like all these different ads going to the same audience, but just split, and we had like testing on whether if that one's performing better, stop serving that one, serve that one more, and we kind of like judge that. And this is all retargeted on the video views. So that's the second interaction they've just had with my startup, which no one knew about. And then we had about, I'd say it was about 16,000 views on that video with around about £100 spend, which is great because they've retained onto it. And Facebook also gives you, and this is Instagram as well, this was served on Instagram as well. They also give you a brand recall lift. Has anyone seen that? Where it's how many of those people that have actually watched it are likely to recall your brand if asked 5 days later. So then you can target those people who are more likely to recall your brand. It's mental, isn't it? So this is the hub. The hub content. So we've given the video, the brand awareness. Now we're in the hub. Now they sign up, and then they go to the page, and maybe they don't convert. Maybe they do convert. I don't really care at this point, but I just want to create this kind of, I want to nurture them further down into the funnel. So then this is the always-on content, the hygiene content. So I've tried to keep it a little bit funnier and jovial, because the target market isn't you. They're serious business heads. They're my mom, which is to love my job, no, but does it afford me the ability to go on lavish vacations and buy anything I want? Also no. And then you've got store of the day kind of content, and like this type of content, which is like, it went with the copy, which is no excuses. I don't want anyone to have an excuse not to start their hustle anymore. So this is like too risky, too busy, or blah, blah, blah. And then it goes smaller to more kind of like offensive kind of wording at the bottom. So this is the hygiene content that we have to serve always on. And as you can see, I'm shy to design, so everything looks pretty rough around the edges, but that's what we've got to do, right? We've got limited resources. We just have to do what we can to try and create. But if you're following the right strategy, it kind of works. And this has worked for it so far. Yes, please. Okay, so I wake up in the morning. I have to have a shower. I've got to roll on my deodorant, and I've got to do this every single day. It's something you always do. You keep on top of your hygiene all the time because you're nurturing. Pardon? I wouldn't say it's the basics, but it's how you would talk to a friend. You talk to your friend all the time. So like this type of content, I would never serve as the hero piece of content because no one gets it. No one understands the brand values of Mercato. No one understands the humor in my content, the fun. I've built them up to this point. So, and you only the true you around your friends, really. So, and this is kind of the same for Mercato, which is, you're only part of the community. You only feel that you can have this kind of banter with us when you're in the inside. So we serve this content right at the bottom when they're past purchase or conversion. Do you know what I mean? So hygiene is kind of the stuff that you do all the time to the people that are your super fans, the people that really identify with your brand. Does that make sense to everyone? I'm not so much nodding. Okay. Now, I want to stop talking because I'm really sorry, I'm not the best. But, right, everyone, is there one table that is just one startup? Or is everyone runs different startups? I know there's like a squad of you lot, but are you all different startups, this table at the back? You all different? Nice, okay, and yeah, different and different over there. Okay, so what I want you to do is someone kind of step up on the table and not on it, but just take command and list all the startups on one notepad. So go around and ask, so what's your startup, write down all the startups around the table. And once you've done that, collaboratively, the founder, the CEO of your startup will then say, right, I'm the top of this list. My startup is, I supplied something to someone. We've got to come up with 3 ideas, creative ideas, that we can launch an advertising campaign for my startup. Does that make sense? And we go down the list to the next startup. The idea is, I don't just want the founders talking to themselves. I want you all pitching in for each other. So, someone might have a better outlook on Mercato and think, okay, this is a better marketing concept rather than my closed horse blinkers because I know the product, I'm on the inside. So it's good to get these outside voices just to, do you know what I mean? So give a quick pitch to each other about what you do, write it down, then just go through each. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, so it'll be about half an hour to do that. Everyone create your little campaigns. I'll come round if that's fair. Have you got